This podcast is part of E2C Network, where we share the whole Auburn experience.
Where you go, Auburn fans? Welcome to No Huddle, your source for Auburn football news and discussion, part of the E2C Network. I'm AJ Richardson, and I'm also here with Jared Davis. We get to talk about a win. Jared, how good does it feel to actually talk about a win after so long, such a drought of not getting a win for this Auburn team?
What is this win you speak of? What is that?
It's like, put like a couple L's together and then you get the W,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like,
yeah, a couple of L's equal a W. Yeah, it definitely feels better than talking about a loss. So, yeah, I'm excited, man. It was fun times.
Yeah, and you went, right?
I did, yep.
Yeah, I was there as well. I want to get your
Son
opinion
and my brother
on.
and a couple of buddies.
Yeah, I want to get your opinion on it. Like, how did things go? Like, how was the environment? Could you feel it in the air?
Yeah, I mean, it was electric. I mean, the very beginning, my wife was at home and she texted and said they were saying on TV that the stadium was ridiculous. And I told her, I said, yeah, at the beginning of the game, it's about as good as you can get. It was crazy. That was my thought on it. I mean, it was like an Iron Bowl, essentially, an Iron Bowl that mattered. So,
yeah,
it tapered off towards the end. The crowd emptied out a little bit, and it was most likely because it was super cold. I don't think anybody planned for that.
Yeah. How many people I saw walking into the stadium with either shorts or short dresses or skirts? I'm like, what? Y'all about to leave? Like, it's just bound to happen because you're gonna freeze.
Yeah, no, I don't think anybody planned. It's one of those days where I think at the beginning of the day it started out, 68 degrees, and by the halftime it was, you needed to be really bundled up. So it's just hard to plan. But end of the day, the atmosphere I thought was awesome. What did you take away from it?
Yeah, I mean, myself, my family, you could feel the team's energy coming off of that field. I mean, there are moments, especially I was thinking about, the second half where you could just tell this defense was feeling so good about how they were holding Texas A&M to pretty much no yards in most of the second half besides that one drive. And then you get, the classic swag surf, you get the, just I've even got a video of it. All the players, when they were doing swag surf, were on the sideline just dancing and having so much fun. And I don't remember seeing that side of them at all under Harsin, which is kind of interesting. And maybe it's just like, Cadillac's kind of free roaming. Like, I don't know. He lets people do their thing, it seems like. And so he's letting his players do their thing. And I feel like the players felt that. And I enjoyed that. Seeing them really enjoy the time, because I mean, how often do you get a night game against a good, it's a good game. Like it was, Auburn coming into it and saying, we can beat the Texas A&M team who just had the number one recruiting class. We can do this, and believing that. And I think that kind of, for a lot of fans, even, we were like, wow, I believe it too. I mean, how crazy is that? Coming into this game, I thought, man, we might not have a chance if Texas A&M is kind of moving, but we did it. We got the win, and man, it just feels good.
Yeah, it was definitely a good feeling.
Yeah. What did you think of? I don't know if you'd experienced the Masked Singer. This was kind of another environment thing. Did you guess it correct? I want to ask.
No, I didn't. My son got it right when they put the options up. He wouldn't have known Derek Hall without it. But
Yeah.
I think I voted. I think I put Shanker. I don't know. I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. It was, I like when they pan over to the player afterwards, because Hall's just laughing and waving at the crowd because it was terrible singing.
And the thing was, his singing wasn't the worst I've ever heard.
No, it wasn't the worst.
And he was actually kind of on tune a little bit. Like, if I was him, I mean, just about anybody. If you're not voice trained and you sing in front of a huge crowd, you're not, like, it's hard. It's really hard. But yeah, it was Derek Hall. He sang, I think it was "Better Together" by Luke Combs. Another kind of just environment thing. the go crazy Cadillac, I feel like they capitalized off of that so well. I mean, everybody prior to this game was, that was the narrative for this game. Just go crazy Cadillac. And there was a couple like third downs where they put it on the jumbotron and say, or where it's literally Cadillac up there yelling, "Go crazy!" And you're like, "This is awesome. This just
Yeah,
feels so good."
yeah, that did pump the crowd up every time. So that was again a good use of that. I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
And not related to that at all, but we're talking about the Masked Singer. So Dylan Cardwell,
Mm-hmm.
he takes his shirt off. I don't know
Oh
if you know that.
yes.
So he takes his shirt off and is celebrating. Well, there's this little bitty kid, not little bitty, but I mean he's probably like 10 years old. He
Yeah.
does it too, and apparently this isn't the first time
Yeah.
they met each other now. Like Cardwell knows the family, so Cardwell does it, and then that kid does it.
Yep.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah, I'd seen that at another game, maybe two games at this point, and I was like, "That's so fun!" Like just to have their little thing. Like it reminds me of I don't know if you remember the mustache guy from like the 2015 season, where not the greatest of seasons, and I felt like we kind of had like the mascot up in the crowd. Like it was kind of we got Aubie's great, don't get me wrong, but you got to have like a fan that kind of embodies that. And it was the mustache guy holding up a one with his mustache and just like a straight face, staring right at the camera. And I feel like this is kind of the embodiment of this football season is Cardwell taking off his shirt, jumping up and down. I know he did it last year, but like it doesn't matter. We're going to have fun. And I think that's kind of really cool testament to what this team and this environment and like everybody keeps saying the phrase, it's Auburn being Auburn. And people have kind of turned that in a way, I feel like, to a negative sense. It's just Auburn being Auburn. They're going weird. You have so much dysfunction. I feel like you could say that, but I think what they're also kind of saying is Auburn being Auburn, and that a 3-6 team sells out a game and packs out the stadium and goes nuts. How crazy is that? Against
Yeah,
a team that's 3-6 as well.
yeah. I mean, you don't see that much. I mean, a unique situation, right? I mean, you got Cadillac. That was the reason, I think, for the most part. But that just shows you how much, it's Cadillac says you love Auburn, they'll love you back.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is absolutely, I think that's absolutely true.
So I know we've talked a lot about Cadillac and re-energizing this team. I do want to talk about kind of the coaching and just think about how crazy it is that Cadillac, literally a running backs coach, becomes interim head coach and essentially outcoaches somebody who's for all intents and purposes, $100 million coach in Jimbo Fisher. How crazy is that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what does a running backs coach make? I don't know. Cadillac probably making,
It
I
was
don't
it was
know.
like 400K. I mean, it's very good.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's in real world, he's doing all right. In coaching world, I mean, Jimbo is making essentially 10 million a year.
Yeah.
Cadillac's making 400,000. Jimbo's been doing this for I don't know 20 years. Cadillac's
Yeah.
been a head coach for a week and a half. Yeah, I mean it's crazy when you think about it.
Yeah. Well, I just think back to a couple times where it just seemed like you kind of look over at Jimbo and you just see the Texas A&M team. I don't know about you, but I noticed a couple times where just Texas A&M players, it was a little chippy out there. And I was like, Jimbo, pull your players back, like take control of your team. And it was like he didn't care. And that's amazing to me. It's almost like he's writing off this season and he's checked out. He's done. He's ready to move on to the next season. And it's like, dude, you're still coaching out there. Like this team, if you're acting like this right now, you're about to see a huge wave of players leave because of your attitude. And I don't know, like that just stood out to me that he just really didn't care. Did you get that impression at all?
Yeah, I actually didn't look over there at him at all, but I did hear someone else, not totally on that same level of, letting his players do whatever they want, but they did say that he just seemed not involved. Like
Mm,
he didn't want to be there is what
right.
somebody said that it kind of appeared on the anytime they would pan over to him. So I don't know. He probably doesn't want to be there. I mean, the heat he's taking. I mean, it's pretty embarrassing, honestly, to be.
Right.
I mean, they've lost 6 in a row.
Yeah. Well, and there was a stat out there. This is the first number after getting the number one recruiting class, the first team ever to have a losing season, and he's going to do it in probably
Oh,
if
he's
they
doing
get
it.
four
Oh, he's going
wins.
out in style. I mean, it isn't just a losing season. I mean, I've always laughed when they had him ranked real high at the beginning of the year, and I was like, look, Jimbo's an 8-4 coach. I mean, that's what he gets. You
Yep.
know, I did not anticipate him being a 4-8 coach. So this is a little surprising. And I think they are going to lose a lot of transfers. The only thing that they may have going for them is apparently, of course, this never happened according to Jimbo, but their little NIL deals they were working with players was kind of gradual. It wasn't like all up front. So if these kids leave, I don't know if they get that money. However, if they're good enough, they'll get more money somewhere else. So I don't know. I would be. I mean, they had a guy come out and tweet one of their 5-star receivers tweeted, "Hey, sorry I couldn't play. I was wearing sleeves, and apparently I'm not. It's not okay to wear sleeves." Like essentially, Jimbo didn't let him play because of that.
Whoa.
I mean, I don't know. There's got to be more to that story, but that was his tweet. He said, "Sorry, A&M family let you down. I was wearing sleeves that other players were wearing, and I wasn't allowed to play."
Interesting. I wonder. I mean, to me that seems kind of silly, but you know, I don't know. Like it just strikes me as somebody who, I mean, even last year, like I was thinking back to Texas A&M. For them, they were pretty underwhelming as well. I mean, for them to go last year 8-4 and 4-4 in the SEC, they had such high hopes, and they brought it into the recruiting. They did great with recruiting. And like I'm sure if they're going for that top recruiting class, which I'm sure they want, I mean if any player looks at that, they're gonna be like, would I rather go to that or an up and coming school or one of the schools that's been around a while doing great already? Like I think you're probably gonna go to those great schools or those up and coming schools versus a program that seems to be going downhill.
Yeah, I don't know what else Texas schools can do. I mean, they get all the recruits, they go hire prior successful coaches, and they're still mediocre. Like
Right.
I don't. It blows my mind. There needs to be some research done on maybe high school, maybe Texas high school talent is overrated.
At this point, it might be.
I mean,
It
there's got
really
to be
might.
something. I mean, these people. I mean, that's supposedly like one of the best, if the best recruiting base in the country. And Texas and A&M every year do not live up to the expectations.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they did it with Vince. Vince Young was kind of their Cam Newton, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he took put the team on his shoulder, and they did then. But really, for the most part, they don't.
Yeah. One other topic I want to talk about, and this is coming down back to, again, to kind of coaching and how Cadillac has really gotten his team engaged. I saw a stat. I think Justin Ferguson pulled this up. It was a Pro Football Focus looked at the missed tackles of the Ole Miss and Arkansas games. So those under Harsin. Compare that to the last couple of games, Mississippi State and Texas A&M. So the last two games of Harsin, 44 combined missed tackles. The last two games under Cadillac, Mississippi State and Texas A&M, only 12.
That's
That's
insane.
that's what 30% less or 70% less, whatever it is. Like it's crazy. And to me, that is you kept hearing Harsin saying execution, execution, execution. Like to me, there was something else besides just saying it's execution. And one of the things I keep coming back to is how much Cadillac you can tell loves this team. He loves being able to, he said, serve the team. That I think excites players. That's the thing that Auburn being Auburn, that's something that we have, and I think was missing, which is kind of sad to say, looking back, but I think that's getting brought back, and the players are feeling it. They're executing. They're doing things better. Yeah, sure did we have, not that great of an offense this game? Yeah. But we didn't necessarily have to have that much of an offense when truly Texas A&M, I mean, if we didn't have turnovers, I don't think Texas A&M would have scored a point. It really doesn't feel that way. So, I mean, to me that's just crazy that we can talk and say that we were able to pretty much hold Texas A&M to no points besides, some kind of weird fluky fumbles and turnovers, that kind of stuff. So, let's talk about our offense. So Robbie obviously didn't have his best of days as far as passing the ball around. He was 6 of 13 for only 60 yards. He had a touchdown pass, which that was fantastic. That was such a cool play design. Like it almost looked like it was a wow. They schemed the guy open. I mean, Jared, have we schemed a guy? I feel like it's been so long since we actually schemed a guy open and it actually worked. So that's crazy.
The last part is the key. Yeah, scheme. Yeah, I think we've occasionally schemed them open, but we don't see them or overthrow them, and yeah, so that was nice to see.
Yeah. I mean, Robbie kind of doing his thing he's going to get the yards rushing too. And that keeps the, defense sitting back, especially when we decided and, the passing game was just not working. We're going to have to run the ball a lot. And we put the load on both Jarquez Hunter and Tank Bigsby. Both got 121 yards each. I mean, if you look at Jarquez's numbers right now, he averaged 9.3 yards per carry. He was on fire. I mean, I know Tank put in the hard work, but Jarquez, that was fun. That was fun. I don't know, Jared, did you also see one of the runs for Tank Bigsby? It was one of his pretty long runs. It might have been his longest run, that 39-yarder. And Cadillac's running it on the sideline with him. And it's just like, that just feels so right. Like to have your old 2004 running back running with the current 2022 running back. So fun.
Yeah, that's cool. Somebody captured that. That's a cool picture.
Yeah. Something else about Tank, he has now the 9th most rushing yards in Auburn history. He just passed Ronnie Brown. So congrats to Tank. He will continue to climb up those ranks a little bit longer while he's here at Auburn. Couple other things. John Samuel Schenker. I feel like we kind of take him for granted a little bit, but think about this. He has been such a consistent player for most of his career that he had his 60th game that he's played in, which is the most career games, breaking a previous Auburn record that was set by T.D. Moultrie. So I'm very thankful for Schenker and what he's put into this. I mean, he could have just said, I'm done and not coming back, but he decided to come back.
Can he collect retirement now? Is that Social Security? What's up with he's in on that, right?
He could. He probably has some gray hair too.
They probably call him Grandpa on the team. He's been around a while.
He probably does. But let's talk about, something else, the turnovers, because, despite this, changing of the coaching staff, we still have an issue with fumbles. And to me, that's kind of inexcusable a lot of times. Like some of those, you're really like, you can control things. And that's the hard part. And we just keep, losing that turnover battle, which that, again, like it kept Texas A&M in the game. So it is kind of just a part of this team for this year's DNA. And we just got to minimize it as much as possible. But hey, that turnover in the fourth quarter that we caused, Colby Wooden, strip sacking the guy. I don't know if you've heard the story. A couple players and coaches have now come out and said that he pretty much called his number on that one.
He went Babe Ruth style. He called his shot. He told him he was going to do it.
Yeah. I mean, you just have a good feeling when a guy like him just lines up and says, I'm about to do this, and does it. It's one thing to say, then another thing to actually do it. So pretty cool to see Colby do that. And it just kind of shows me that his football IQ is really high. He sees the weakness. He knows what he needs to do. And I mean, he's going to move on at the next level. And I think he could be really somebody that has a pretty decent career in the NFL. So, all right. Any other kind of big ones? Any defensive players that kind of stood out to you this game?
I didn't notice it, but I've heard other people talk about how well Jalen Simpson has stepped in
Yeah.
at playing safety.
Yeah.
They've actually several people have talked about that looks like a more comfortable position for him.
Mm.
So DJ James, man, I thought he had that interception, but he just
Golly,
seems to
too. Yeah.
always be around the ball. I mean, it was the right call. He didn't get it, but
Mm-hmm.
live we thought he did. He seems to always be around the ball. Is Cam Riley the answer? I mean, like I haven't seen Steiner much, and I feel like people are not running on us as well.
Yeah.
I don't know what's causing that. Are we better coaching? I don't know what it is, but Cam Riley's definitely playing more. And I know Mississippi State was not a run-heavy team, but they just didn't really get it going when they tried. A&M is more of run, and they couldn't get it going there. So
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm liking what I'm seeing on the defense right now.
Yeah. The changes that I'm seeing, which is kind of weird. I think we talked about it last week. We still have, for the most part, I think every defensive coach. I mean, our defensive coordinator's still here. And what's changed? It was the head coach. And why is our defense looking better now than it did before?
My theory is I don't want to say it too bad on Harsin because we don't know what all went wrong because there were players that like went to his defense in the offseason, right?
Mm-hmm.
My theory is he didn't connect enough with these players to when the season went off the rails, they kept giving 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Caddy has come in and made people not made them. He's inspired people to give 100%.
Right.
So I think I think it's that simple because we still have Schmedding calling plays.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is Schmedding more free? Because I will say this. Harsin probably was meddling because that's what head coaches do typically. And Caddy's very much, hey, I'm going to put this in your control. I trust you. Go develop a game plan.
Yeah.
And maybe Schmedding is able to do some things he wasn't able to do scheme-wise.
That's very possible. I mean, even Schmedding, I thought of him originally as a guy, it was kind of like one of the Harsin's boys, one of his gang. And really, he only had a very limited stint with him.
He was only with him for a year at Boise.
Yeah.
I mean, so he was with him a year at Boise and 2 years at a year and a half at Auburn. So, I mean, at the end of the day, even if he was, it doesn't necessarily mean. I think so. What I heard was essentially Rich McGlynn went and got a feel for everything and said, hey, who are the guys that we think will help us improve? Who should we keep on as coaches? And I think he even got players input. And at the end of the day, McGlynn's a smart guy. He obviously thought Schmedding was going to give it his all.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out it was a wise decision. I thought it was silly at the time, just clean house if you're going to do it. But yeah, I mean, I think it was a wise decision.
Right. No, I think so too. I can only imagine the changeover. We've seen it on the offensive side, struggling there, but how much of a change that would have been to say, throw, I don't know, the DB coach, Zach Etheridge or something out there and say, hey, run the defense when you haven't done it. And that's a lot to put on a person.
Yeah.
Let's talk about special teams to kind of round this out. We had Anders Carlson not be there. I think I saw a picture of him at Tiger Walk with the sling on, so looked like he was slightly banged up and not going. But hey, Alex McPherson stepped in there. I mean, you and I had kind of called for it and hoped Alex could get out there and do it. His opening kickoff went out of bounds, kind of unfortunate. I heard an interview from the special teams coach that essentially went over to Alex. He was just like, dude, you just like went too fast. Like as soon as the whistle blowed, he was kicking the ball. And sometimes you just got to take a deep breath, especially kicking. It's all about timing, get ready, perform.
It was interesting that we brought in did we have the punter start doing it from then on? Who's
it was Evan McGuire. He had done kickoffs for us last year when Anders went out for a little bit.
Okay. Because he came in and his first one was a beautiful kick, and then he also struggled to get it to the end zone after that.
Yeah, and I was thinking it kind of looks like he was trying to kick it too high, especially when you were in the stadium. There was tons of wind,
Oh yeah,
and it was
very, very
blowing
windy.
towards the end with the jumbotron. So if you're going into that wind, it would be hard for any kicker to get it to the end zone. And I think they were just thinking, let's just pop it up real high, pretty much say there's no return, like you got to fair catch it.
Yeah.
And that was successful. We didn't have any major flubs with kickoffs besides that very first kick. But we also did, put out Alex McPherson for actually 3 different field goals. He went 2 for 3. The very first one of all things was a 54-yarder.
Yeah.
Imagine being a freshman kicker. I mean, there's video of it. I think he nailed like a 61-yarder in high school. I mean, he has the leg. I mean, the 54-yarder even had the leg to do it. That's a long way. I mean, I kind of get it. I get why he wanted to do it early in the game, but pretty crazy.
Did you see the Justin Ferguson? Who is he with? Auburn Observer, maybe?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. He apparently tweeted out that Cadillac Williams was in essentially group me chats with his former teammates. And obviously he wasn't reading these during the game, but they were saying, Cadillac, what are you doing, man? You got to kick the field goal. You're not playing a video game.
Yeah, I love that.
That's hilarious. I mean, he did kick the field goal. I don't know which one they're talking about, but they're like, you're not playing a video game, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny.
Yeah, and I think he did start to make the right decisions because we all knew in the Mississippi State game, you're in Starkville, you got to make the gutsy call. And it also, I mean, when you make those, I think it endears the team to you. It's showing I'm behind you. I think you can do it. And I think this game, he saw, hey, we've got the lead here, and Texas A&M probably isn't going to score, at least multiple times. And so he was like, all right, cool. I can be a little bit more conservative. And he adjusted. He didn't make as many crazy calls, put us in a bad situation. So I like that.
Yeah, I think real quick. So we got I know we only got 2 games left, but we got down. This could have been a blowout. I mean, we got down in the red zone so many times, and we would shoot ourselves in the foot. We'd false start. We would get sacked because we fumble the ball and jump back on it. We got to clean that up because that killed drives. I mean, we could have. I mean, I was almost. I think after we got the strip fumble from Colby Wooden, I was like, kick the field goal on first down. Let's do not get out of field goal range. I was a little bit of tongue in cheek, but and then man, AJ, that pass to Jarquez, he'd still be running, dude.
So true.
I'm like,
that's another scheming the dude open. I love it.
You got it. I don't want to get down on a player, man, but you gotta make that. That's like, that's one of those where you put so much air under it that. Yeah, he might get caught or it would have been a touchdown, but at least it's a big gainer. Oh, man. that one still hurts.
Yeah, it still hurts me. Because think about that. If we had gotten that
pass, ball game, we might have rushed the field. I mean, the game would have been over. I mean, that would have been a 70-yard, wide-open touchdown.
Yeah. But, hey, that's the way things go. I mean, we still got the win.
We won, no doubt.
I was glad to see it. Even, at points in this game, I was thinking, wow, we're trading punts back and forth. And then I look at the numbers, and, Oscar Chapman did have 5 punts. He averaged about 44 yards. He had, I think, 2, if not 3, within the 10-yard line. And there was even one that
I think he had the other one. They didn't, the one where they caught, I'd like to see a replay on that. But
yeah. But, hey, he did his job, and I love it. So we were doing things on special teams, which was pretty refreshing considering, the Mississippi State game. That was one of our downfalls. All right, Jared, any other final thoughts before we get out of here?
No. I mean, football's fun again. I mean, that's crazy. I'm sure other fan bases are laughing at us, but I don't really care because I don't do Twitter, so I don't know about it. So, hey, we're enjoying football, and let's win out, man. Let's make a bowl game. Let's go beat Western Kentucky, and Alabama is not the Alabama typical. It's going to be super hard in Tuscaloosa, but they're not superhuman.
Right. Well, and I was just thinking, ahead to that game a little bit. This is one of the most down Alabama teams I think I've seen in a very long time. And I know they're going to bring their A game, and Cadillacs and his team have got to perform, but it's much more of a chance than I think most people would give us. So,
yeah, I mean, here's the reality: we're not going to win that game, but there is actually a chance because Bama is not great, and typically there would be no chance.
Right. All right, Jared, how can the people stay in touch with you?
You can find me on Facebook under my name, Jared Davis.
And you can find me on Twitter at AJY_. It's always great to be an Auburn Tiger and War Eagle.
War Eagle.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode on the E2C Network. On your way out, I want to remind you to stop by e2cnetwork.com. It's your one-stop shop for all our content across our podcast, YouTube channel, and much more. To stay up to date with us, make sure you're following social media accounts such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. While our content here may always be Auburn sports heavy, if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. War Eagle.